Made in Hollywood.
The thriller September 5, starring Peter Sarsgaard and Ben Chaplin, is made in Hollywood.
It's about me saying if you honor yourself, you're going to honor the character. We had to honor what our own dynamic was.
That's right.
You know?
Made in Hollywood.
Also on today's show, Robbie Williams stars in Better Man, a dramatic biopic about his music career.
I know Michael, and people know him from his work, outside of The Greatest Showman too, and they know he's a genius. And the fact that he asked me and thought that I was a viable option to do this, it was just too much of a good opportunity to pass.
Plus, Julianne Moore and Tilda Swinton play friends fighting a grim prognosis in The Room Next Door. The Way Home with Kyler Lee returns for a third season, and Diane Warren discusses her songwriting process in the documentary Diane Warren, Relentless. This week on Made in Hollywood.
Made in Hollywood.
The harrowing thriller September 5 tells the story of two sports journalists, played by Peter Sarsgaard and Ben Chaplin, who face a trial by fire when a terrorist act strikes the 1972 Summer Olympics.
Action on my cue, and now. Take two. Take one.
And we're clear.
Great job, everyone.
I was interested in the unprecedented situation that the media faced on that day in Munich. This whole media apparatus had to switch from reporting on the Olympics to reporting on this crisis situation. And this, I thought, was a very interesting premise for a movie.
What's the situation?
The police are reporting that armed terrorists have attacked the Israeli athletes.
When I see that the way he covered sports and the way he would bring in these really endearing stories about someone working hard and going through struggle and maybe a parent that died, and here he is at the Olympics and his dad's watching, and very heartwarming stories that make all of these elite athletes seem like human beings that you can root for.
We are the only people capable of following it live. This is our story, and we're keeping it.
He's trying to find this satisfactory ending, so much to the point that when they're alive, wouldn't that be the best ending? Your hope of what the best ending would be kind of clouds your vision as what it might actually be.
And just as Relentless was a visionary in sort of how we cover sports, how we cover the news, Marvin was a game-changing, groundbreaking logistics man. Incredibly detailed, everybody was taken care of, everyone was happy, and he cared.
More people have seen this than watch Armstrong land on the moon.
No, police are on the roof.
Oh, guys.
That's a TV. Are they seeing what we're seeing? As soon as I was involved, I got in touch with Jeffrey, who is still with us, and was very eager to be a part of it. What he made really clear from every conversation we had was that there was no time to think.
Listening to his stories and what he told us, what he experienced on that day and what they were discussing and with what challenges they were confronted, that was the point where we said, why don't we keep it entirely into that in the studio?
We're on.
The piece of what have been called the Serene Olympics was shattered this morning. The games are still going on. Within a few hundred yards, 9 terrified living human beings are being held prisoner.
Production design team recreated that facility. It became tactile and tangible, and machines from 1972 were working, and it was just an amazing playground that we got to go to every day.
You put all these people in a room, and they will naturally settle out into, oh, this person's here in this relationship, and this person's sort of distantly over there, and we all found those places just with our own connections, our own dynamics. It's about me saying, if you honor yourself, you're going to honor the character. We had to honor what our own dynamic was.
That's right.
You know?
And yes, we wanted to have as much as possible of real footage on these monitors. I have to say, though, we did reshoot some of these scenes in the Olympic Village, and we wanted to have that blend of the real images with our own with our scenes.
If they shoot someone on live television, whose story is that? Is it ours or is it theirs?
The biopic Better Man follows the meteoric rise and dramatic fall of pop music icon Robbie Williams.
I'm Robbie Williams. I'm one of the biggest pop stars in the world. But I've always seen myself a little less evolved.
The thing I loved about the stories, which is why Rob's voiceover is in the final film, is that I always loved the way in which Rob expressed his own narrative. He has a very wonderful way of telling a story, whether that's through his lyrics or whether he's just talking. I think as a person, he is quite unique. And so I just thought there should be something a little more surprising in the way that we present the film.
Do I look like a pop star to you?
I wouldn't change a hair on your head.
And through it. I know Michael, and people know him from his work, outside of The Greatest Showman 2, and they know he's a genius. And the fact that he asked me and thought that I was a viable option to do this, it was just too much of a good opportunity to pass.
I had a really great conversation with Michael Gracie, our director, early on, where he basically said, don't worry about the monkey. Just let me and Weta handle that afterwards. I want you to play it as if it was your face on screen. And so just bring your version of this pop star to life.
Michael made sure that Nicole was involved and she had approval on how we told her story, as did Rob. And then it was up to us to make sure that we honored that and then honored the story that we were doing. So it all sort of layers into itself.
My dad was well enamored by the stars of the day.
You can't learn it. You're either born with it or you're a nobody.
The typical Northern English family dynamic is that we don't talk about anything. And the unusual thing about my life is I talk about everything, and not only do I talk about everything, it's projected for the world to see.
Don't want to be a nobody.
Contemplate my fate. You're enough.
The mocap technology, Weta made it very seamless. In fact, the technical side of it never interrupted anything performance-wise, and they were just incredible. They were incredible, the artists that came on board, but also the on-set crew that we had, capturing all of that data that ended up being the performance of the monkey, all based on Jono Davies.
Jono Davies! It was such a great way to work. You don't have to worry about vanity when you're doing motion capture, so you don't have to worry what you look like, which is amazing. You just get to be truthful to your impulses. So you do all the work beforehand, and then you really just try to focus on playing, and that's something that Michael loved to promote.
Does an angel contemplate my fate?
We're very fortunate to have a real-life rock star. So he threw multiple concerts, and so they were real crowds, and it feels like real crowds. And also for the performers, them up on stage with thousands of people in front of them screaming and cheering, it just makes it electric.
I believe in you.
It's been all of the feels, Michael. It has been an honor and such an incredible opportunity for me, my family, my career, my life, my ego, my sense of self-worth. It's been all of the above.
So, the story starts.
I'm loving angels instead.
Coming up, Julianne Moore and Tilda Swinton play friends fighting a grim prognosis in The Room Next Door, and The Way Home with Kyler Lee returns for a third season. To find out where to watch any movie, scan the QR code so you can get notified to download the new Movie Phone app.
I think one of the things that was really thrilling about reading Pedro's screenplay was that it was centered around this female friendship.
Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.
The poignant drama The Room Next Door, starring Julianne Moore and Tilda Swinton, follows two estranged friends who reconnect while one of them fights to survive cancer.
The snow was falling, falling faintly through the universe, and faintly falling on all the living and the dead.
I think one of the things that was really thrilling about reading Pedro's screenplay was that it was centered around this female friendship.
To know that he wanted to make a film about this subject, it's a subject that's extremely personal to me, and that he asked me to make it with him was, it was a very, very happy day.
I will not go out in mortifying anguish.
I don't know what to say.
I'm hoping you'll say yes.
Yes to what?
You wanted me to play Martha because I've had the privilege, I would say, in my life to be in what I call the Ingrid position many times. And so to have the opportunity to download and step into the impulses of someone in the Martha position, I've learned so much from the Marthas in my life, was an amazing gift.
So often, women in films, when you see two women on screen, they're a relationship that's like a familiar relationship, they're mother and daughter, or it's a love story, or they're antagonists. And those things have not been my experience.
I'll sleep with my door open, and the day that you find it closed is the day it's already happened.
Well, their friendship is a very old one. They've known each other since they were very young. They had a very, they were both writers. They both still are writers, but originally they were journalists working with Paper magazine. It's named in the film, in their 20s, we assume. And then they drifted apart. And so this thing of coming back together.
When Ingrid hears that Martha's sick, the first thing she does is kind of rush to the hospital to see how she's doing. Certainly Ingrid was not expecting this situation, but I think one of the reasons that Martha ends up relying on her is that she sees that Ingrid is reliable.
There are lots of ways to live inside a tragedy. Do you hear them? It's daytime.
In my life, my female friendships have been incredibly important to me, and I think it's such a profound honor to be able to witness another human being as they move through their life.
The film is all about happiness and about life and the living of it.
And you're alive.
Now available on your home screen. Kyler Lee returns in Season 3 of the dramatic series The Way Home as the Landry family discovers a long-lost family member.
I really missed hearing you play.
I don't know why I even packed it. Didn't take it out of the case once in Minneapolis. I was busy with other things.
Kat learns a lot about herself, about where her relationships stand, but also, again, now learning that their story is almost just beginning.
Someone other than us is time traveling. She's the audience's eyes. She's experiencing everything for the first time. She hasn't lived one of those timelines. That's been an interesting challenge and just an honor to be able to return to that character for a third season.
Coils.
Yeah, it's been there forever, since Grandpa played it.
I know. I never really connected the two.
One of the exciting parts when we come back from the ultimate cliffhanger at the end of a season, we come back right to the very next moment.
The beauty of the show is that it starts with such a kind of molten core of emotional depth, and the time travel element just creates a lattice work around it that makes it more and more complex, but more and more rewarding all the time.
House got sucked somewhere in time. I think one of my favorite parts about doing this show is the sort of double life aspect that I get to play with. I love walking that line. I think it's so interesting as an actor. I think it's such a creative place to be. Everything you say has so many different meanings, and the challenge of just playing what serves the scene, but also having that little wink to the audience of like, you know what I'm talking about.
The third season, the complexity just grows, which means that the reward just grows. There's so many things that are answered, but there's also so many new twists and turns.
Enough, please. Stop running off and choose us.
To find out where to watch any movie, scan the QR code so you can get notified to download the new MoviePhone app. Diane Warren discusses her songwriting process in the documentary Diane Warren, Relentless.
People had talked about doing a documentary on me, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But I like to think that it was because Bess wasn't in the picture yet.
Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.
The documentary Diane Warren, Relentless follows the career and creative process of the autistic songwriter Diane Warren, whose songs have sold over 125 million records.
I've met a lot of people, but honey, ain't never met nobody like Diane Warren.
Diane.
Who is this?
Who is this?
is. There's no one like her.
She's relentless.
Relentless.
She's just crazy. Oh my God. But she writes great songs.
People had talked about doing a documentary on me, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But I like to think that it was because Bess wasn't in the picture yet. I'm a really big believer in, things happen when they're supposed to happen.
She is more hits by so many different artists ever.
Whitney Houston, Gaga, Celine.
I don't think anyone tops her record.
I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is on here.
That song was Steven Tyler's first #1 hit.
It's kind of an interview when you meet a subject for the first time. Like, can this person carry a 90-minute film? Because I told her on that first day we met, I'm not going to do a puff piece. And she's like, puff pieces are boring. Yeah. And I was like, okay, then this will work.
Yeah, it is.
I just go to work and I work.
She writes this stuff by herself in that miserable room of hers.
I love it in here.
I put blinders on like this.
There's so many great songs, that I've written and continue to write in that room. I don't like things like glossy. I don't like things too comfortable. I like it to be a little bit, I like edge.
Took guitar lessons, and the teacher told my dad she has no future in music. My mom was always like, you'll be sitting on the corner with a guitar and a cup. You can't make a living at it.
I just wasn't happy. Someone that really works hard. I have a crazy work ethic, and I show up. I show up to do my work. That's how I describe me. I don't know anything else. It's hard to describe, myself. I don't know. I'm a hard worker, and I think I write great songs.
Lots of people don't quite understand people on the spectrum. It's part of the genius.
It's just weird to sit and talk about yourself. I'm not super, comfortable with that.
What I really hate is when someone goes, you're the best female songwriter, and I'm going like,
She's one of the greatest songwriters of all time and still going.
She wasn't bossy, but for the demand that the film be funny.
I wanted to be funny.
Because she's funny, so I said I would have made it funny with or without your demands. She wasn't really allowed to weigh in other than that. So.
Oh, gee. Yeah.
Unvarnished.
Yeah, it came out really good, I think, so. But it's weird watching it for me.
Say what happened at the premiere at South by Southwest.
Well, at the end, it brought tears in my eyes a little bit.
This isn't a job, this is my life. You can't retire from your life.
Dear me.
Stay tuned, there's more coming up on Made in Hollywood.
Made in Hollywood.
Thanks for watching Made in Hollywood, powered by MoviePhone. For more behind-the-screen content, check out MoviePhone.com.
Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.